Hey folks, Steve Bird here. Today got Franklin Horton with me, and he's got a new release coming out, exciting new release in the thriller category called Hard Trauma. He's departing just a little bit from his typical post-apocalyptic, though I'm sure it'll be still an action-packed thrill ride like all of his books are. So Franklin, tell us what you got going on with Hard Trauma.
Thanks, Steve. I love writing post-apocalyptic fiction. I like the action. I like the setting and all that. But I've been wanting to write a thriller series for a long time because there are so many other opportunities. There's just so many places you can go with a thriller. You can write it in modern times, and there's all different kinds of thrillers. So, I'm really excited about this. And this series was inspired by a lot of veterans I've met over the last couple of years who work in the anti-human trafficking field. And, it was a way for them to put their military skills and their desire to have a real kind of life or death, high risk endeavor to satisfy that side of their life that they left behind in the military. So, thinking about that over the years, it kind of inspired this series called Hard Trauma, and it follows the life of this character whose name is Tyler Stone, and Tyler intended on spending his entire career in the military, but he ended up having to leave through a series of unfortunate events, and he finds himself back home working as a security guard at a truck stop, and he's trying to deal with the adjustment back to civilian life, and he is not handling it well. So that is where he is when the book begins, and then through the course of several events, there is a child who is abducted from the truck stop while he's working there. And this results in him kind of falling back on his military training and taking control of the scene, but they do not find this girl, and he gets fired from his job. He ends up at home, and he's in a really bad place, and he decides that the only way he is going to save his life is if he can save this girl. And that is kind of what happens at the very beginning, and it launches Ty on this adventure to try to find the child who was abducted under his watch.
Awesome. I imagine, based on your other books, I imagine there's a lot of kind of fighting, combat type scenes. I mean, not official military combat, but just that kind of a thrill ride over those life or death, situations.
Well, I love that aspect of post-apocalyptic fiction, the battles, the life or death scenes, the kind of gritty action, and that is something that you can take directly from post-apocalyptic fiction and plug into thrillers, because a lot of thriller readers have that same expectation. So that's really what I did, is it's more to the setting of the book that has changed rather than the content. This is the same gritty feel, this is the same action, this is the same adventure. It's just plugged into a modern time, and it's there are all kinds of crazy things that are out here actually happening in the everyday world. We don't have to go post-apocalyptic anymore to find a crazy setting for a thriller. So there's plenty of things out there in our everyday world that provide plenty of fodder for a modern thriller. So that's where I'm going with this.
That was something I believe you and I were having a conversation after I listened to your Random Acts audiobook, and how I said it was a personal apocalypse. It may not have been, this global event, but to this one person, they were going through an apocalypse. So, yeah, we don't need to necessarily have that the economy collapsed. There was an EMP, there was a virus. We don't necessarily need that setting to still have that feeling that everything is falling apart and everything is a threat. And
and that's exactly the life or death stakes that this main character Tyler Stone, this is the situation he finds himself in. He pretty much has the rug pulled out from under him, and everything he has valued in his life and everything he has stood for and been about is gone. And he's in this position where he really needs to find his new direction. And this book is not just about the hunt for this missing child. It's about him finding what his new mission in life is going to be. And that is his search in this book, is to deal with this, as you said, the personal apocalypse that he finds himself in.
So finding out this new mission that his life is supposed to be. So is this, I believe you've got it marketed as a upcoming series. Is that the case? A standalone series?
Well, yeah, as you know, with Random Acts, that was a standalone book because I just didn't have a series envisioned for that. But this guy, I already have the next 2 books kind of, and I'm not a big outliner. I kind of write from the seat of my pants, but I have the next 2 books in the stage of doing notes on them. So I know exactly where this series is going to go, at least through 3 books. So I expect that before the year is out, probably about August or September, I'm going to be wrapping up the next book in this series.
Outstanding. Yeah, because Random Acts was well-rounded. It didn't scream for a sequel. You know, it was like a lot of the movies. You watch the movie and it's over. You're like, man, that was so good. And then, but you don't really feel like there should necessarily be another one because it told the whole story was complete. So that's where I was wondering if you were going with this, because the thriller world, especially with the way you've set it up so far, it sounds like that could be a good series in the making.
The thing that this book has does not have a big cliffhanger. It has a good resolution. So this is a book that people are going to read, and they're not going to be cussing and throwing the book at me and saying, well, what kind of ending is this? Because it has a good solid ending. But through the course of this book and the adventure and the new mission that is opened up to this guy, it sets him up to go through the next few books. So we see what his new mission becomes, and we see him launch into that new mission.
That's what I was going to say. So it's a well-rounded story from beginning to end that just happens to create the universe in which he's going to exist in the future.
Exactly. By the time you come out of this book, you're going to be satisfied with the ending, but you're also going to see perfectly where the next books can take you.
Outstanding. I'm looking forward to it. And as all of your books, this is going to be on Kindle, paperback, and audiobook, correct?
Absolutely. Kindle and paperback are already uploaded. You can pre-order the ebook right now. Audio is being recorded as we speak, so hopefully if there's no snags or delays with that, the audio should be out maybe around the end of May, beginning of June. That's what I'm hoping for. So it's all formats.
Outstanding. And for those of you who are interested in any one of those formats, in the description in this video, when you're done watching it, look in the description, and I'm going to put a link to this book in particular and to all of Franklin's books so that you can find it. You can get in line. You can, I assume you can pre-order the Kindle version now?
Absolutely. It's up already.
Good. So, yeah, just look in the description in the bottom of this video to find that. Go ahead and click on it, and it'll take you right there so you can have it magically pop into your Kindle on May 8th, right? May 8th?
May 8th, perfect, yeah.
Outstanding. so I'm looking forward to that. I enjoyed your last, not that I didn't like your post-apoc stuff, I'm just saying I really enjoyed your last deviation from that. What I mean by that is most people that know me already know, since I write in post-apoc, I kind of avoid the genre, so when he comes out with something that's not a post-apoc book, I jump all over it because I don't like to accidentally, have the ability to take somebody else's ideas or their style. So I stay away from post-apoc, but you standalone
stuff. Well, that's one of the
I'll
things you find is a lot of us have the same ideas because we think alike, we hang out together, we have the same interests. So it's really easy to have overlap. Yeah,
right.
I understand.
See, I'm branching out too. My next one's a Western, so you and I are both kind of doing the same thing. And I'm only like 5 chapters into it, but I'm having it's a good time to be able to step outside and do something new. And just like with your, the apocalyptic feel, you can have that in any genre. You're doing it in the thriller world, and if you look at not just my book, but every Western that you've ever seen, those people are going through an apocalypse, and their daily life, even if something bad wasn't happening, is what people today would call an apocalypse. You know, having to find your own sources of water and raise your own food, and you know that's today. If people can't stream Netflix, it's an apocalypse. But
yeah, that's exactly it. Is and the post-apocalyptic books, they kind of strip away a lot of the useless noise of our lives and reduce it to more basic needs and basic instincts. And a Western and a thriller do that same thing. You're focused on more basic needs like survival, and things like Netflix don't matter as much when you're just trying to survive.
Yeah, and one thing that I find romantic about the thriller world and the Western world and those genres is, if you look at, I mean, it's obviously a hard life the person's living in that moment, but it takes away, like when you said strips away, it takes away that, well, tomorrow I got to pay this bill, next Thursday I've got to get this meeting I got to go to about that. It takes all of that stuff away, and it's just those really important, critical life or death moments now that are in your forefront of your vision, you know. And that to me, being able to take away all those daily things that we go through that add stress to our lives that really don't need to be there. That's what's so refreshing about it.
Well, I hope that when people dive into your Western and my thriller, they can find that escape from, you know, the crazy world that we live in right now. So.
yeah, and you know, people got a lot of time to read right now, so hopefully your book helps fill that void. Mine won't be out for a while, but May 8th, perfect timing. That's just right around the corner next week, basically. So really looking forward to it. I know I'm going to grab it, and maybe after I read it, we'll get together and talk about it a little more.
That sounds perfect. I appreciate that.
Great. So, well, folks, like I said, in the description below, click on those links to find this book and all of his other works. I highly recommend them all. And thanks for watching, and y'all have a great day.
Thank you.